Hello and welcome. I'm John Deeks, and along with Andrew Lloyd, Community Clubs Victoria CEO. Today we're in the offices of Canaccord Genuity, visiting with Tom Collinson and Jeremy Zenworth. Welcome along, gentlemen.
Thanks, John.
First question, who are you?
Tom and I have worked in the wealth management industry for close to 15 years now, and most of that time we've been with Canaccord Genuity. So Canaccord Genuity is a wealth management business. We work in the Melbourne office here, and primarily we're helping families and not-for-profit organisations manage their investments.
Great to see you guys today, and clubs sometimes don't know which direction to go, which advisors to talk to in relation to their investments. And take golf clubs as an example, do their annual subscription invoicing, have all this money come into their account. In my old days, showing my age, we'd run down to the Commonwealth Bank and ask for a bank bill.
Was that pounds, shillings and pence days, mate?
That's right. I don't think they even exist today. And dealing with banks is incredibly difficult. So it's wonderful to have a group like you that provides personalised service and advice to your clients, understands the sector. So let's talk about that example to do with options that are available for clubs. I think also one of the historical legacy issues has been people thinking, we want to have maximum security, we want capital guarantee. So obviously those things can be incorporated into an investment plan. Tom, what sets your firm apart from other advisors in this space?
Canaccord is really well placed, we think, to advise these not-for-profit organisations. It's a global business. Australia is just one of the branches of the firm. It's a listed company in Canada, but has wealth management roots in the UK and North America as well. So it's great to be able to draw upon global resources, look at the way that they're doing things overseas and bring some of those ideas back to Australia to help organisations here.
I guess the bottom line, Tom, is why would clubs want to park their money with CG as opposed to going to a traditional legacy bank?
Legacy Bank is going to be able to offer a very basic set of investment options. It's basically an at-call cash account, which every club would have, and term deposits. So that's right at one end of the risk spectrum. And that might be right for some groups. But we think in a lot of cases, there's a good argument for moving a little bit up the risk spectrum, looking at some other asset classes to increase the level of return above what you can achieve in cash and term deposits.
Tom, you just said the word risk, and clubs, not-for-profit clubs, are very risk-adverse, Andrew?
Look, they are, because I guess the board members look at it from the perspective that it's the members' money. They don't have appetite for things going wrong and then the ramifications from that. How do you address that to do with the confidence levels, is the question?
I think the starting point for us is the governance side of things. So getting in place a coherent investment strategy and investment policy that a committee, a board can really get behind and make sure that it's something that will outlast their tenure with the organisation, and put in place a set of guidelines and boundaries around what can be done with the investing side of the organisation, so that you don't find that the RSL has a holding in Bitcoin, for instance.
Tom, it's incredibly difficult. We hear from clubs dealing with banks today. It appears that things are just all put through call centres. They don't seem to know their clients. They don't understand the issues. How do you engage and work with your clients?
It really starts with a face-to-face meeting. We want to get to understand people involved in the organisation, the things that make that organisation unique in terms of their needs for the capital on the balance sheet. When are they going to need to engage in capital improvement projects? What does the investment horizon look like for their money? And then we'll work with them to develop a strategy that really makes sense in terms of generating some additional return. This is not an incredible uplift in returns above cash. It's a relatively modest margin that we're talking about, 3 to 4% per annum. But that might be the difference between another salary for a staff member or something, and every little bit helps these days.
Jeremy, do you want to just expand on that to talk about some different investment strategies that you employ with your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're taking pretty conservative investment approaches with not-for-profit money, club money in particular. One area that we really like for not-for-profits is the private credit space. So private credit, also referred to as non-bank lending, is a growing area of investment in Australia and globally. So taking real estate-backed lending in Australia at the moment, the size of that market in Australia is about 480 billion. Private credit accounts for about 10% of that in Australia today. That's forecast to grow to about 30% over the next 10 years. In the US, that's already at 60%. So it's a growing area of funding in the country, and it's offering really good, stable returns. Our preference is to invest in the more conservative end of private credit. So in particular, real estate-backed private credit offering returns of around 8 to 10% per annum where you're senior secured in each position. So that's one area in particular that we really like.
Jeremy, financial education is important. We know companies like Host Plus Superannuation try to actually deliver some information seminars, but I think for our audience, that education piece is really important to unpack things and explain them. What does CG do in that space to provide information, education for their clients? Because, of course, it's always that word of mouth. You help one client and then they're like, this was such a great firm and a great experience. This is what we learnt. And it's always a learning spectrum, I think, particularly for our industry.
Yeah, that's right. And that's why we were really keen to get involved with the CCV. It was an entry point for us into the industry and to start educating the industry more broadly on how we can help in some of these investing topics. So, before working with the CCV, we'd really been approaching each NFP and club individually, but we see the opportunity with the CCV as one where we can disseminate that educational material through webinars and sessions with clubs individually or at micro conferences. So we're really excited about what we can do with the CCV. And each group that we work with, we're happy to come in face-to-face. It's something that Tom and I and the team are really keen on, face-to-face interaction. It's really important to us and the clients that we work with. So definitely open to educating where required.
Can you just explain to us organisations that want to have cash available for short-term commitments and servicing their ongoing needs, how you balance that with parking things for a longer term, but also having the flexibility for that ongoing cash flow commitments?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And obviously we always invest with the long-term mindset, but many of our clients, they'll have a portion or even all of their money with us for a shorter period of time and really conscious of getting access to that money when they need it. So a key consideration for us in putting together an investment strategy for a client are their liquidity requirements. When can they get access to the money, and making sure that when they do get access to that money, they're getting fair value for it. So pretty much all of the investments that we allocate to are available within a month's notice. And that's usually enough time for a club to give us that notice and to get their money out when they need it. Many of the other investments that we work within, you can get your money out within a few days. So we think that gives clubs enough flexibility and liquidity.
Tom, from employing really good investment strategies, what are the biggest benefits that you see for your clients and potentially for clubs that engage you to assist them with their financial management?
I think what you touched on earlier around the education side is one aspect. Getting boards and committees to have a higher level of knowledge around what's possible in the investment landscape. And then, of course, the financial benefit of being able to earn a margin above cash. And the use cases for that are not really our domain, but additional money each year is certainly valuable to every club.
Tom, how do you interact with clubs who might not necessarily be financially savvy like others might be, or they might have some folks on the board who were in the financial area? How do you lead them through the process?
Look, it's a slowly approach for us. We're not going in with a proposal day one and saying, here's the account opening documents, let's get signed up. It starts with a process of education and making sure that we give the board and the committee a sense of a picture of the wider investment universe and why we're excluding certain types of investments and why we're including others, and why that puts us in a position that's much more at the conservative end of the investment spectrum, where we've got diversification, liquidity that meets the needs of the not-for-profit.
Can you give me an example of, and this is a hypothetical, Club A who have $10 million sitting in a legacy bank returning, what do you reckon?
3%?
As opposed to what they could be returning, just as a thumbnail sketch.
Yeah, look, we would have a portfolio that's primarily diversified across private and public credit investments. That's the asset class that really makes the most sense. It's the most defensive asset class other than cash. But in this higher rate environment that we've found ourselves in, that's where the RBA cash rate is higher than it's been in the post-GFC era, you can get returns that are in that 8 to 9% net of all fees range. So that's really a decent margin over what you can achieve in cash or term deposits. Term deposits, maybe you're getting an extra 80 basis points, 1% above cash, but it's great to be able to get a more meaty margin above that.
And John, I think the relationship with your advisors and that level of customer service is so important in today's world. I think that's something which people are absolutely crying out for. They're sick of ringing a call centre and being bounced around and tearing their hair out.
This is a man speaking from experience, by the way.
Yeah.
Look, that's right. I mean, we hear about road rage, there's telco rage, and there's also now bank rage, and you can understand why when you ring most banks today, you feel like saying, gee, clearly the executive team don't ring their own bank, otherwise why would it be like this? We would love to have a webinar to have a chat with both of you, Tom and Jeremy, talking to the club leaders, decision makers and managers about what you can do for them, financial planning, advice and education. So we'd love to invite you to be part of that. And we thank you for your support and your interest in the not-for-profit club sector. How do people get in touch with you right now if they've got questions and want to book an appointment to have a consultation to chat about their financial planning for their club?
Probably email's the best initial engagement with us. So my email's tcollinson@cgf.com. Jeremy's is jzenworth@cgf.com. That'll be up on the CCV website for sure.
And included in electronic direct mail bulletins to members.
We do appreciate your time today and good luck, and thank you for helping Community Clubs Victoria to spread the word and hopefully make a lot more money for the clubs than perhaps what they're getting on their returns right now. Our special guest today, along with Andrew Lloyd, the Community Clubs Victoria CEO, CG's Tom Collinson and Jeremy Zenworth.
Thanks for joining us today, guys.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Andrew.
And to learn more of how CCV is working for you and your club, just visit ccv.net.au. And I hope you join us the next time for our next podcast. Thanks for listening.